of the immigration system, coming up with a number of measures to tighten the country's immigration laws. The party suggests that an immigration board and court be set up. Aaron Motsoaledi presented the discussion document on peace and stability with a focus on immigration as the party prepares for this weekend's policy conference.
The governing party has conceded that since it took power in 1994, it has no clear policy framework on immigration. In dealing with these issues related to illegal immigrants, asylum seekers and refugees, the ANC has proposed the establishment of an immigration board that comprises of a number of stakeholders, which includes 11 government departments, organized labor and civil society organizations.
It becomes a board that takes decision on matters of immigration, everyday matters of immigration. When they meet, they take a decision, for instance, whether this particular person or this group of people will be allowed in the country, or whether certain reasons of coming into the country are acceptable and to the benefit of the country. That's why when you look at the department we choose here, including civil society, including labor, these are all the people who are impacted upon by the issues of immigration. And so that's how the board is going to be functioning.
Motsoaledi noted that migration issues usually drag on in the courts of law. Therefore, the party has suggested that special courts need to be created to fast-track such processes.
We are proposing that South Africa must establish special immigration courts. This is the reason. The current legislative arrangement is untenable. It leads to a lot of long delays in finalizing immigration matters. That's why Home Affairs is always being attacked for being slow and not finishing things on time. We hear this every day. It's because of the present situation is untenable. It delays finalizing matters, including deportation. In many instances, people who come here illegally launch high court proceedings on an urgent basis to stop impending deportation. And later, after having done so, they just disappear even before the court can sit and you are unable to find them.
He also says it's high time that experienced and skilled immigration officers are hired so they can adequately deal with the issue of the country's porous borders.
We are making a recommendation that the inspectorate, the people who must serve in the inspectorate, must have legal qualifications and they must have experience in policing.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has also donated over 100 million rands to help with the backlog in the refugees appeal process. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, ANC staff members say they will disrupt the party's national policy conference in Johannesburg this weekend if outstanding salaries aren't paid. The workers picketed outside the party's headquarters on Monday, saying they haven't been paid for almost 2 months. Let's speak to Vusim Dalo, who's the ANC Staff Representative Committee Chair, and joins us live now. Thank you so much for your time. What's the latest on the salaries? You demanded an immediate resolution yesterday. Did you get it?
Unfortunately, we have not received any good news pertaining to that. But also want to set the record straight. Our demand is not only salaries. Our demands also talks to the Provident Fund that has not been paid, that was last paid in November 2018. And the ANC have made a promise that on the 15th of July, we are going to make a contribution towards the Provident Fund, because we've got people who need to retire, but they can't do it because the Provident Fund has not been paid. And also, we've got families whose their loved ones have passed on, that the Provident Fund is unable to pay what is due to them because the ANC has not paid up the Provident Fund.
What has been the reason for this delay?
The reason for this delay, in our view as a staff, is that it's a mismanagement of the funds and also the lack of political will to ensure that the staff matters are attended to timelessly.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that there are some of those that have reached the age of retirement, they're not able to do so because these monies have not been paid out.
Yes, you heard me correctly.
All right. Let's this particular issue as we look ahead to Thursday when the policy conference is set to begin. Of course, you are to provide support staff, a supportive role as we look ahead at this weekend. What does this then mean if you do not get these salaries or these resolutions when it comes to even this Provident Fund before then?
What we have resolved, the staff must remember the success of the conference entirely depends on the staff, and then to this far, we have participated to ensure that the ANC is going to hold a successful conference. What we have resolved today is that as from tomorrow we are going to work from 8:30 until 4:30. At 4:30, we will withdraw our labor and not participate in any activity.
Could we see protest action at the venue of the policy conference?
What is going to happen is that tomorrow there is an ANC presidential gala dinner. We will gather there in numbers as staff of the ANC and those who are in solidarity with us, who are not necessarily the staff members, to picket and then to raise the awareness that whilst they are sitting there enjoying dinner, ANC staff members and their families are going out without food.
This issue of, salaries is not a new one. I remember speaking to you at some point as well about it, and we spoke about the impact that this has had on some of, the people, the members that you then are representing in terms of staff. Let's talk about the impact that this latest bit has had on those who've not been able to get their salaries in time.
The impact is terrible, you see, as it was before, but to the beginning of the year, we thought things are changing. Remember, some of staff members have lost their belongings, their policies, that they've savings, and then also they were beginning to think that their credit record is becoming better as it was damaged by non-payment last year. But again, now they are back to square one, that this credit worthy. That's how the system works. Again, you can't, if you, everywhere you go, you say you work for the ANC, no one believes that when you say that you have not been paid. You see, it created that terrible situation among staff members that they can't even send their kids to school.
And listening to the party's Gwen Ramohopa yesterday, she said that the Treasurer General is doing all he can to ensure that the salaries are paid and this issue is dealt with as speedily as possible. Listening to you, do you believe that, or have you simply run out of patience?
It's like a broken CD record. We've been hearing the same thing for the past 13 months, that there is something that the party is doing, fundraising, selling shares. We are used to that story. We don't believe anything that they are saying to us now. The only thing that we believe is when we see salaries in our account.
Do you think the party should have postponed its policy conference and settled this issue of salaries?
We think that the party cannot prioritize policy conference above welfare of staff members.
Now, in your view, Mvusi, what do you see as the permanent solution to the salary impasse? Because we were here a year ago and you were still, protesting, saying that you're demanding what is due to you because you've continued to work despite, not being paid. Now we are back here again and you're saying you still have not been paid as, the staff members. What do you see then as the certain and permanent resolution to this impasse?
To us, it is very clear that the ANC currently is facing a number of challenges and it's having a number of staff that it cannot afford. And then there are a number of solutions to that. One is to get the leadership that is committed, that is carrying political will to ensure that staff members also are taken care of. Secondly, we are not opposed to a downsizing as it was raised last year. And then, so that, but before you can even begin to talk about that, because before you talk about that, you need to get money to pay severance packages to those that will be willing to leave, who will be volunteering to take voluntary severance packages. We are open to that negotiations so that we don't have a situation moving forward whereas you are working, you don't know at the month end whether you are going to get paid. There's no pay date in the ANC. We can't have a situation like that. Also, we can't have an organization that is governing the country that relies on donations on a month-to-month basis. Therefore, they must have another models of ensuring that staff salaries are protected on a month-to-month basis.
You say that very briefly you're not opposed to the downsizing and the cutting of staff, and you say it was raised last year. Where is that process right now? What do you understand about how it's unfolding?
That process has not started, and then you must remember the NASREC conference took resolutions on organizational design, and then we are going to a conference again after 5 years. That process has not started, and then we don't know. We only briefed once about that process, and then at this stage we've got no idea what happened to that. But having said that, to conclude that process, the organization must raise enough money to ensure that is being effected.
All right, we'll check in with you to see if there's been an update and see how this matter is unfolding. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much to you for your time.